Even weirder, Trump spent a lot of the day yesterday at the Kennedy Center in his new and ridiculous capacity as their chairman of the board. The Kennedy Center, if you don't know, is a venue. It's a performing arts center. They have shows, they give out awards, they give out honors, they have concerts, etc. And the president of the United States is in charge of appointing the board of the Kennedy Center. So last month, Trump kicked most everyone off the board and replaced them with a crew of his cronies. And then he had the cronies elect him CEO of the Kennedy Center. And now he's focused on the important work of making sure liberals don't ever set foot in the place. Fatty Lapone had a photo shoot at the Opera House today where he struck a pose like as if he'd got the lead in Evita.
So you want a little picture like this? Perfect. Go ahead. Are you guys ready? Come on. We're good for...
Sir, if you want to speak to us later, too, when we're closer, that would be great. Perfect. Thank you, press. Right this way.
Thank you. Why would anyone want a picture like this? I mean, it's like he's just about to start the YMCA dance, and then the last time I saw him pose like that was in front of 600 cheeseburgers.
YouTube has terminated our main channel with millions of views just for telling the truth. But you can help us regrow by just subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and commenting down below. Thank you. Trump appointing himself head of the Kennedy Center shows his unquenchable thirst for cultural authority, despite his remarkably thin knowledge of the arts. It's the perfect metaphor for his approach to leadership. Seize control first, figure out what it means later.
This is about to come true. We also got an update on that war in Ukraine Trump promised he would end in 24 hours. Old fart of the deal spoke with his pal Putin by phone today, which that seems like a bad... Putting Trump on the phone with Putin is like putting your grandma on the phone with a Nigerian prince. This fellow is so charming. Putin agreed to nothing today. People keep asking if Trump is getting played by Putin, which is like asking if Hava Nagila is getting played at a bar mitzvah. Yes is the answer. But according to White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt,
we are on the 10th yard line of peace.
The 10th yard line of peace. There's no better metaphor for this administration than screwing up a metaphor about peace.
Putting Trump on the phone with Putin continues to raise serious national security concerns. When the White House describes peace talks as being on the 10-yard line, they're exposing both their diplomatic inexperience and their fondness for broken metaphors.
About peace. You know, in Minnesota, I don't know if you saw this, but there are some Republican lawmakers there cooking up some historically stupid legislation. A group of state senators in Minnesota they're trying to push through a bill that would classify Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness. The bill says Trump derangement syndrome means the acute onset of paranoia in otherwise normal persons that is in reaction to the policies and presidencies of President Donald J. Trump.
The irony of lawmakers trying to classify criticism of Trump as a mental illness while one of the bill's sponsors gets arrested for allegedly soliciting a minor perfectly encapsulates the moral contradiction at the heart of MAGA politics.
On landing. Tesla stock is way down. Elon Musk has been making the rounds in the right-wing media to try to appear to be a human being. Yesterday, he was guest of honor on the Ted Cruz podcast, where Sweaty Teddy, Ted Cruz seems, everything he knows about technology seems to come from movies he's seen. Ted asked Elon a question about the dangers of AI.
Is Skynet real? Like you get the apocalyptic visions of AI. How real is the prospect of killer robots annihilating humanity?
20% likely. Maybe wow. 10%.
On what time frame?
As Tesla stock plummets, Musk's retreat to the friendly right-wing media environments exposes the growing gap between his public image as a visionary and his increasingly partisan political activities.
It's one thing, but it is absolutely astonishing to see these ridiculous Republicans desperately fawning over him, trying to get his attention and win his love. There are a lot of them. There are hundreds, maybe even thousands, but only 5 of them honored His Majesty so parasitically this week, they earned a nomination for the coveted title of Golden Groveler. And the nominees are Laura Trump.
When history looks back on this time in America, I do believe that it will be Donald Trump and Elon Musk who were reflected as 2 of the saviors of this country and really of the entire world.
Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick.
You know you can't tackle Donald Trump. He is the most important, the smartest, the most capable leader in the world, and he's not going to let someone push him around.
Attorney General Pam Bondi.
We all work for the greatest president in the history of our country. We are so proud to work at the directive of Donald Trump. It is
Representative Lauren Boebert.
Every day is like waking up to Christmas, and we just get so many blessings under President Trump and his administration, his amazing cabinet picks. This is a fantastic time to be alive.
And Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller.
Well, President Trump, as has now been well established, is the greatest negotiator, the greatest deal maker, the greatest diplomat, and the greatest peacemaker that we have ever seen in this country.
Well, it was a very tough decision. All the nominees delivered extraordinary tongue work this week.
The competition for who can praise Trump most effectively reveals the transformation of Republican politics from policy debate to personality cult, where loyalty is measured by the extravagance of public flattery.
Terrible weekend of deadly storms. 42 Americans were killed in tornadoes and wildfires in several states. And while the devastation was happening, our commander-in-chief meteorologist was back at Mar-a-Lago, again playing golf. As the storms raged, he offered these words of comfort to those who lost their families and their homes. He wrote, "I just won the golf club championship, probably my last, at Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach County, Florida. Such a great honor. The awards dinner is tonight at the club. I want to thank the wonderful golf staff and all of the many fantastic golfers that participated in the event. Such fun."
On Trump playing golf during deadly storms. Trump's boasting about winning his own golf tournament while Americans were dying in tornadoes perfectly encapsulates his priorities. Self-congratulation first, presidential duties second.
Indeed. This, of course, comes after Trump chided Joe Biden last year for being on vacation during Hurricane Helene. If you scored hypocrisy like golf, he'd be 30 strokes under par right now. Can you imagine if Biden bragged about winning a golf tournament during a disaster? Sean Hannity would have a rage boner for weeks. But I don't want to, you know what?
On Trump's hypocrisy regarding Biden and natural disasters. The same man who attacked Biden for being on vacation during a hurricane now celebrates his golf victory as Americans lose their homes and lives. The hypocrisy is as predictable as it is callous.
Play the ref. You know what playing the ref is? Like the great Bobby Knight basketball coach. It'd scream and scream at the ref. It'd scream. He had been known for throwing the chair across the court and slapping a player. Coach, don't do that. Don't do it. And that's when he threw the chair. He starts going crazy. I don't care. Do you know Bobby Knight? Bobby Knight. By the way, I love Bobby Knight. He'd scream at the ref. He would play the ref. He would play the ref. Playing the ref. Bobby Knight would play the ref. That's why I brought up the Bobby Knight story.
Oh, is that? I thought it was dementia.
On Trump's Bobby Knight rambling. His repetitive, meandering Bobby Knight monologue demonstrates a concerning pattern of cognitive issues that's becoming harder for even his supporters to ignore.
This is what he posted at 12:35 a.m. He gets up in the middle of the night, writes, "The pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen." In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. Now, auto pen is this device every modern White House uses, including Trump's, for presidential documents. It's a robot pen that has your signature. Trump's claiming, without any proof, of course, that Biden never actually signed those pardons and didn't know they were. In Trump's opinion, you know, a presidential signature is not official unless it is written in black Sharpie on a woman's chest and or wrist.
On Trump's auto pen claims. Trump's midnight rantings about auto pens and pardons reveals both his desperation to undo Biden's legacy and his fundamental misunderstanding of how the government he once led actually works.
200% tariff on champagne and wine. Decision to place tariffs on American whiskey. There's a sob story, all right? We're only doing this because your president started it.
On Trump's tariff threats against Europe. Trump's escalating tariff war with Europe shows a concerning pattern of economic brinkmanship. that risks disrupting global markets and harming American consumers who will ultimately bear these costs.
I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S., just a straight artificial line. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states.
On Trump's comments about Canada, Trump's bizarre remarks about Canada becoming the 51st state reflects his transactional view of international relations and shows a troubling disregard for the sovereignty of one of America's closest allies.
Congress has until tomorrow to reach a spending deal before the government shuts down.
On the government shutdown thread, the looming government shutdown represents yet another failure of this governance under this administration, with essential services hanging in the balance while political theater takes the precedent over responsible leadership.
Americans like Thomas Jefferson, Ronald Reagan, Al Bundy, Honey Boo Boo, Chewbacca Mom, the Cash Me Outside Girl, Bad Luck Brian, the Taco Bell Chihuahua, Dramatic Chipmunk, Walmart Yodel Boy.
On Trump's Oval Office redecoration, the reported changes to the Oval Office artwork speak volumes about how Trump views the presidency, less as a solemn responsibility and more as a personal stage for self-aggrandizement.
We're an equal branch of government, and you start off with a blather, and yet we look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found are so eminent, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night.
On John Larson challenging Elon Musk's absence from congressional oversight, the strategic absence of Musk from congressional hearings speaks volumes. He's proposing massive changes to America's social safety net without facing questions from our elected representatives.
Men and women on this committee are good people. They're honest and caring people. And that's why I do not understand why you would relegate this committee to no longer being of significance and resort to saying you will do whatever Elon Musk and Donald Trump tell you to do. Where's the independence of the committee? Where's the legislature? We're an equal branch of government, and you start off with a blather, and yet we look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found are so eminent, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night, but not last night. People are aware of this. Every single one of your districts. Now you have someone coming in to privatize a system, something you have longed to do going back to 1982, because Elon Musk thinks that this is the best thing to do. President Trump has called Social Security a scam. Elon Musk, as the chairman, as Mr. Neal said, called it a Ponzi scheme. Ask that of the people in your district. Ask that, Mr. Smith, of the more than 198,000 people in your district who rely on Social Security, and you won't even let the person who's planning to privatize it, who's telling the big lie in front of everyone, in bold as he possibly can, saying, this is what we're going to do. The Congress is in our back pocket. We don't even have to come before them and testify because we control the House, we control the Senate, and we control the presidency. And it's the tyranny of the executive. It's why these resolutions were first adopted back in 1789, because the founding fathers knew that the executive branch does not have total authority over the legislature unless you have a willing party that says, no, we're going to do exactly what you tell us to do, Mr. Musk and Mr. President. It doesn't matter to our constituents. It doesn't matter how much money they are not going to receive. We're not even going to tell them the truth about what's going to happen to them. They administer to over 70 million people in the nation's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly and children. Shame! Shame! Can't bring people in front of this body? If he's right, if they're so good, if they're so just, why aren't they here telling the American people about it? They're not, because you know the truth. It's about private.
Congressman Larson's fiery takedown exposes a fundamental truth. While Trump and Musk avoid testifying, their actions speak volumes. This isn't just about budget cuts, it's about fundamentally dismantling Social Security through the back door. What we're witnessing is classical political misdirection, gutting an agency's ability to function while claiming to fix it. Firing 70,000 employees, closing field offices, and attempting to end phone services that millions of elderly Americans depend on isn't reform, it's demolition. The rapid reversal after public exposure proves something crucial: accountability works. When elected officials like Larson speak up forcefully and journalism shines a light on these plans, it creates the pressure needed to protect essential services. In today's political climate, daylight remains the best disinfectant.